So before we start the video, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. So, let's get into it. Alright, so the 2023 NFL Draft ended about a week ago, and rookie minicamps have started. So, in honor of the rookie minicamp starting, I am going to review all the Bears draft picks from round 1 to round 7. Now, how I'm going to do this is I'm going to separate in this video into two parts, with this video being about rounds 1 through 3 and the next video being about rounds 4 through 7. So, without further ado, let's get into it. What's up, guys? KT here, back at it with another video. Today, we're doing the Bears. It's been a long time since I've done, a structured Bears video on the channel. I think it's been since the season ended, and a lot of stuff has changed on this team. We have a lot of new faces, a lot of new draft picks to look forward to, and a lot of things to look forward to going into the season. So I figured I would get on, review some of the draft picks that they made for rounds 1 through 3, tell you guys what I like about the picks, what needs that they fill, and how these players can definitely become a crucial part to the Bears' success in the future. So I'm not gonna hold your time. Let's get started with round 1. So the Bears came into round 1 of the 2023 NFL Draft, initially picking at 9, but they traded down one spot on draft night. Of course, the only reason they got to 9 was that they traded the number 1 overall pick for DJ Moore and a haul of other draft picks, for the number 1 overall pick, and they ended up at 9. They traded down from 9 to take right tackle out of Tennessee, Darnell Wright. Now, the 6'5", 333-pound monster out of Tennessee. This guy is probably the second best tackle in the draft, might be the best tackle in the draft, and this was a guy we heard that was climbing up the ranks a week before draft night, and this was a guy that made a good impression on the Bears front brass, and they on draft night they traded down one spot to take him, and he's familiar with the Bears coaching staff. He played in the Senior Bowl. He played for Luke Getsy's team in the Senior Bowl. He knows, the offensive line coach here in Chicago, and they just fell in love with his game, and for good reason. This guy didn't give up a sack last year. He only gave up 2 QB hits, and he's been a solid right tackle in college. He's been a solid player since high school, and the Bears have been watching him for a while. So, this pick, when they made it, screamed to me that this is a guy that we think can protect our franchise quarterback, Justin Fields, especially going into a crucial year for Fields. Like I said, an athletic monster at 6'5", 333 pounds. He's fast, he's agile, he can run block, he can pass block. He stonewalled 2 of the best defensive players in this draft in Will Anderson Jr. and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter was still on the board at 9, but the Bears couldn't look past all the red flags, and they decided to trade down and take Darnell. Now, that kind of soured the pick for some people. It didn't for me. I understood that if they were going to trade down, if they felt like Carter wasn't, a fit for them, they were definitely going to take Darnell Wright if Paris Johnson was not there. Obviously, Paris Johnson went 6 to the Arizona Cardinals, and, they ended up with Darnell Wright. But you can make a massive argument that Darnell Wright they might have took Darnell Wright anyway, just because they believe that Darnell is more pro-ready than Paris Johnson Jr. You couldn't have went wrong with either of those picks, but between the Jalen Carter and Darnell Wright situations, I think they made the right pick. I think protecting your franchise quarterback that's got sacked 55 times last year is definitely more important than Jalen Carter wreaking havoc on your defense for a multitude of years. And while that is a good thing to have, I think protecting Justin going into a crucial year for him, where you just got him all this talent on the team, he needs some time to throw. This guy will definitely fit that mold. Now you're going into this year with a revamped offensive line, and this guy, he's definitely the real deal. He's no joke. Strong, fast, pass blocking, run blocking. He can do it all. He can play both tackle spots. So He's arguably the best tackle in this draft. So I like the pick. I'm gonna give this pick an A+ because you're protecting right there. That shows me that you're protecting your franchise quarterback, and this guy can straight up play. I like the pick, an A+ for the Chicago Bears. Going into the second round. Now, the second round was a little bit interesting. Now, the Bears, way before they got the number 1 overall pick, they held the first pick in the second round, which was number 32. They traded that pick for the much maligned Chase Claypool. Now, people have voiced their frustration with that pick, especially since Chase Claypool hasn't produced as much as people thought he would since he's been in Chicago. Now, I think people are overreacting just a little bit since he only had half a year to prepare and got traded mid-season, trying to learn the playbook. It was a bad time because guys were going down hurt. Justin Fields got hurt, then he got hurt. Then he trying to reintegrate into a lineup with a backup, learn the playbook. So, I don't necessarily hate the trade. I do think the Bears felt the impact of not having the first pick in the second round. And it definitely showed because I really thought they were going to go DE in the second round and get a defensive end in the second round. But that didn't happen because most of the defensive ends went early in the second round. So they ended up settling and picking a very interesting prospect in Javon Dexter. Of course, Javon Dexter, 6'6", a massive 310 pounds, from Florida, is a defensive tackle. Right there, when they picked him, that screams, we need to shore up the interior defensive line. This guy is an absolute monster. 6'6", playing defensive tackle. This guy definitely had some flags going into the draft, and it's nothing about his character or anything like that. It's more about how he was used at Florida that had a lot of flags. Now, he didn't produce much in college because he was more assigned at Florida to be more of a read and react type of defensive tackle. Now, basically what that means is he was like a half second slow off the line, maybe like a full second slow after the play or after the snap. And, in the NFL, you can't really play a read and react style like that, as guys are just too big, too strong, too fast. I know you play that style here in the NFL, you're probably going to get laid out. And, that kind of contributed to his lack of production, but the guy's talent is definitely outshines his production. 6'6", 310, long arms, fast, can stop the run, definitely a good run stuffer. Needs to improve his ability at pass rushing, as he wasn't really known for his pass rushing skills in college. But, we don't know really what he can do because the way he was used at Florida and the fact that he only has a small sample size at playing football, as he started playing football in his sophomore year in college. He used to be a basketball player. The fact that he had all those red flags, kind of dropped his stock a little bit. But this guy is definitely talented, and he definitely feels an immediate need of, stopping the run, as the Bears were horrible against the run last year. So I think Javon will be a pretty effective player if they're able to work out some of the kinks in his game. Again, he had a monster score on his athletic test, on raw athletic scale. I think a raw athletic scale of 8, I think, over 8, and he is definitely an athletic freak. Very intelligent as well. He can, he knows how to read and react and stop the run. He can hold his ground against double teams. This guy is definitely has the potential to be a monster. I think it's just using the physical gifts that has been given to him, and then using him the right way and not making him a read and react type of player. I think if they're able to fix that part of his game, he's definitely going to be a crucial part of that Bears defense. But this pick definitely screamed, we need to shore up our interior defensive line, and they did that. So I like the pick. I'm going to give it a B- just because, the production wasn't really there, and, this is kind of like a project pick. They had another pick in the second round, actually 2 picks after the Javon Dexter pick, and they selected Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. Now, Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami, a cornerback, which was a very, very underrated need going into the draft. He's only 6 feet and 198. He is from the U, and the U produces very good defensive players. Corner was definitely an underrated need with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, shoring up those other two corner spots. We needed to know who was going to be our third corner going into the year, and this guy definitely has the opportunity and definitely has a talent to be that third corner going into the year. He'll be competing with Kindle Vildor and possibly guys like Jalen Jones and all that for that third corner spot. Now, this guy is another Senior Bowl player. Once again, he's familiar with the Bears coaching staff, and this guy is a definite man-to-man corner. He is a monster in press coverage, a monster in man-to-man coverage. He can blanket the receiver. He shades the receiver well, and he definitely showed it on day one of minicamp when he locked up one of our 4th-round picks, actually, that I'll get to in the next video. Tyreek Stevenson was definitely the pick that made the 2nd round for the Bears after that very, very weird pick for Javon Dexter that had people kind of scratching their heads. But this guy definitely shored up their 2nd round. This guy is a monster in man coverage. He's able to cover the receiver well, good ball skills. Definitely needs to improve his zone coverage, but he's a good tackler as well. He fits that hit style that Matt Eberflus wants to play. I like the pick. We definitely needed another corner, and this guy definitely has a talent to start day one if he's able to do well in his mini camps and OTAs. And so far, I've liked what I heard about him. I do think that his zone coverage could be a little bit better, as playing a 4-3, you might want to play a little bit more zone, but that's just me nitpicking. I like the pick. I'm going to give this pick a solid A, as this guy definitely seems like a monster corner and definitely probably should have went higher than what he was picked at. So, going into the 3rd round. The 3rd round was interesting for the Bears, as they held the first pick in the 3rd round, pick number 64. And with that pick, they picked yet another defensive tackle from South Carolina, Zach Pickens. He's 6'4", 291. Yet again, another athletic freak. This guy is probably the opposite of Javon Dexter. While Javon was more of the run stuffer in college and not much of a pass rusher, this guy, Zach Pickens, is more of a pass rushing DT than a run stuff DT. Now, not saying he's not good against the run, but he's definitely more known for his pass rushing. Yet again, though, whether it was due to coaching or a lack of using his physical attributes, the production didn't really show in college. And, he went through a lot of flux at South Carolina, obviously. The way they used him was very, very weird as well. He definitely could fit that 3-technique DT that the Bears desperately need, and he's definitely going to be competing with Javon Dexter. I heard these guys actually have a very, very good relationship. They've already known about each other for a while. I think they're actually friends. I think they visited a couple NFL teams together. So these guys are very familiar with each other's games, and they're definitely familiar with what they both bring to the table and what they need to do to be able to compete with each other to get that 3-tech spot. This guy is definitely a pass rushing type of DT. I think he can fit that mold of a 3-technique. Honestly, as much as people kind of are confused with this pick, he might be better than Javon Dexter in my opinion. He seems like the more effective pass rusher, and he's not too bad against the run, so I can see him being that 3-technique that the Bears need. Like I said, is very fast, very strong, just this freak of nature that the Bears seem to fall in love with in the first 3 rounds of the draft. So, Zach Pickens, he definitely has the potential to be our 3-tech defensive tackle, and he definitely wants to take that challenge. He has a good attitude and all that stuff. I don't know I think he also played at the Senior Bowl, so there was a trend of the Bears picking guys that played at the Senior Bowl. So Zach Pickens, he has a lot of talent, a lot of physical gifts. if he's able to use those physical gifts to his potential, he definitely has the potential to be a very good player in this league and a very crucial part of that Bears interior defensive line. Again, another pick for need. I like the pick. I'm going to go with a B+ for this pick. So overall, for the first 3 rounds of the draft, the plan was to pick for need rather than to pick for style. Not too many flashy picks for the Bears going into this draft, but they definitely picked guys that they really needed. Darnell Wright, he fits a need that the Bears had, and especially at right tackle, a guy that can protect Justin Fields, give him more than 2 seconds to throw, so he won't end up on his back all the time. A guy who can get out, kick out for the run, a very good run blocker for the zone scheme that they like to run. Going into the next round, Javon Dexter, that run stuffing, defensive tackle, Tyreek Stevenson being that third corner that they might have, who actually made a very big impact on day 1 of rookie minicamps. A guy who can lock up for man-to-man coverage, a guy that has the potential to be a very good zone coverage corner. And then, Zach Pickens being the more pass rushing type DT, the more 3 technique that they need him to be, or that he can potentially be, being a very good pass rusher and being very good against the run, being fast, being agile. So it was definitely more of the picks for need rather than being sexy with their picks. I know that it wasn't the big names that people were expecting, like Jalen Carter, like Jackson Smith-Njigba, like who else had, like Paris Johnson Jr., like Tyree Wilson, all those guys. It wasn't, big names or big star names like that, not the sexy picks, but it was definitely picks of need. I do think the Bears got maximum value in the first 3 rounds. A lot of projects in the first 3 rounds, but you know what? You got to take risks at some point. If these guys, if it's all up to coaching, if the coaches are able to get these guys to play to their full potential, they can have some monsters in this draft for the first 3 rounds. That's all I'm going to say. But I like the first 3 rounds of the Bears draft. I'm going to give them a B+. I feel like they picked for need. I felt like they picked all the things that they really needed rather than what they really wanted, if that makes sense. So I like the first 3 rounds of the draft. I'll have the next few rounds in my next video, rounds 4 through 7, so be looking out for that. But I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the videos. It helps the channel grow. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of these Bears videos. Be looking out for the part 2 of this video, going through rounds 4 through 7. And leave your comment in the comment section, and I'm out. Peace.